Hey everyone, I have a Patreon. When you sign up for Patreon, you can help support this channel, but if you sign up for the $50 tier, the Quadruple Mango Threat, you can receive one of these 4 altars. Of course, if you're the second or third person to sign up, you'll have 1 or 2 less cards to pick from, and of course you're going to be receiving all of the other benefits that come along with being a patron. Hey everyone, it's Triple Mango Threat. Today we're talking about building Kwain, Itinerant Meddler, from your collection. Let's get right into it. For a white and a blue, we have a 1/3 Rabbit Wizard. We can tap Kwain. Each player may draw a card. Then, each player who drew a card this way gains 1 life. So how are we going to build Kwain from our collection? Well, we're already narrowing down what colors we need, which is white and blue, which is great colors for this deck. I have things that are going to be spicy. We have Land Tax, is a great card to have in white because it's going to get us our basics really easily. Aether Flux Reservoir. So with all the life we're gaining, I'm pretty sure I can do this really easily. I'm not really worried about how many spells I can cast, but paying that 50 life to just one-shot somebody, that's really powerful. And Angelic Arbiter, if an opponent casts a spell, they can't attack, and if they attack, they can't cast any more spells. Solemn Simulacrum is going to get us more lands from our deck. Dictative Crewfix is going to have everybody draw an additional card. We can protect our commander with Swiftfoot Boots. Well of Ideas is more card draw. Some removal is Reflector Mage. Now, ways to untap our commander is going to be really powerful. So I have 1,000 Year Elixir, so that way we're drawing multiple cards each turn besides Dictative Crewfix. Got some more removal with Return to Dust, some ramp with Core Cartographer, Sun Titan. I usually put this in any white deck because it's going to get us lands if they're in our graveyard or whatever CMC 3 or less. Fairy Ageless Insight. This is an underrated and underpriced card right now. Pretty much if you draw a card except the one at your draw step, you're going to be drawing 2 cards instead. So when I tap Kwain, I'm going to be drawing 2 cards if I choose to, which is really powerful. Another great card that got reprinted in the mystery boosters, as you can see by this symbol here. We can pay a white, tap it, search your library for a land card, reveal it, put it into your hand, shuffle your library. Play this only if an opponent has more lands than you. A great board wipe is Supreme Verdict. This cannot be countered. And also a win con for us is Felidar Sovereign. So if we have 40 or more life, we win the game at our upkeep. Another crazy card is Crested Sunmare. Horses have indestructible. That doesn't matter. At the beginning of each end step, if we gained life this turn, we create a 5/5 white horse creature token, and that horse is indestructible. It's a 5/5. Whenever we tap Kwain, we're going to make a 5/5 at our end step because we're drawing a card and we're gaining a life. This is very powerful. And of course, we have to have Alhammer's Archive. If we gain life, we gain twice that much. If we draw a card except at our draw step, we're drawing 2 cards instead. So guess what? We tap Kwain, we choose to draw a card, we're drawing 2 and gaining 2 life. This is such a powerful card. Island Sanctuary. Some of you may not know what this card is, so let's read it. For 1 and a white, it's an enchantment. During your draw phase, you may draw 1 less card from your library. So we'll choose not to draw. If you do so, until the start of your next turn, the only creatures that can attack you are those with flying or island walk. That means that green player that's going to hit us with trample, no, you can't do that unless your creatures have flying or island walk. And this is a great card because we're drawing anyways with our commander, so this is a great card to have. Horn of Greed. So whenever a player plays land, they're going to draw a card. So this is sort of a hugs deck / everyone's drawing a card chaos sort of thing. But why I want to draw the most cards is because I have cards like Jace, Wielder of Mysteries, and Laboratory Maniac. So if I draw a card and there's no cards to draw in my library, I'm going to win the game instead of losing it. Now, if an opponent chooses to draw a card, I get a treasure token if they don't pay 2 mana with Smothering Tithe. When an opponent plays a spell and they don't pay the 1, I'm going to draw a card. Font of Mythos. At the beginning of each player's draw step, they're going to draw 2 cards. This is pretty much double Howling Mine. Twice the mana cost and twice the effect. They're drawing 2 instead of 1. A great card to have is Walking Archive. So it comes into play with a 1/1 counter, +1/+1 counter. At the beginning of each player's upkeep, that player draws a card for each +1/+1 counter on Walking Archive. And we can pay 4 to put a +1/+1 counter on Walking Archive. Temple Bell, each player draws a card. Comedy of the Crescent Moon, you're going to draw an additional card at your draw step. And Forceful Denial, which is one of the new counter spells that I love because it has Cascade and we can also counter a spell. Had to put that in there. So that's what I've come up with so far. As for the cards from our collection, so these are the lands I'm thinking of, right? So I'm thinking of adding Homeward Path. So for some reason they take our commander, and no, I'm getting that back. So this is a really powerful card. Ash Barrens. I'm thinking about adding this one. It can get us any land if we're needing it. Terramorphic Expanse and Evolving Wilds. I'm going to add those as well. We got some plains and islands that are full art. I have some more, but this is what I could find. And then we have cards that would let us draw a card if we choose to cycle them, or when they enter the battlefield we get to scry one. And calciform pools, I don't know if you guys know this card, but pretty much we put counters on it and we can then pay one to remove those counters to get white or blue in any combination. This is a great card to have. We also have Vivid Meadow and Vivid Creek. We can remove counters to get any mana of any color, and these are great cards to have as well. So as for the non-land cards that I'm thinking about adding, let's go into that. So I have a mana rock here. It's Firemind Vessel for 4. Comes into play tapped. We can add 2 mana of different colors if we tap it. I was thinking about Drog Skull Reaver, but for 7 mana it's a little bit too much for me, but it's a 3/5 with flying double strike lifelink, which is already really cool. When you gain life, draw a card. So when we tap our commander, we're going to be drawing 2 cards. Sovereign of Lost Alara for 4 white blue. It's a 4/5 spirit with Exalted, so if a creature we control attacks alone, it gets +1/+1. Whenever a creature you control attacks alone, you can search your library for an aura and attach it to it, except I don't think I have any auras that I can abuse right now. I was trying to find an aura that can be able to untap Kwain, but I'm still looking for something like that. I don't think I'll be able to abuse Mind's Desire, which lets us storm. We can cast spells off the top of our library for free. I need more board wipes because I think 1 isn't going to do it, so I have 2 more here. So I'm thinking about adding those. Psychosis Crawler is really great because we're drawing a bunch of cards and we can deal our opponents 1 damage each time we draw a card. I thought about Angelic Accord, but I don't know if I'll be gaining 4 or more life each turn. So I'm going to have to see what my cards can actually do. Conqueror's Flail is a great card. We can make it where our opponents can't cast spells on our turn. Gift of the Estates is another card we can get lands from. Now, Thought Vessel, I'm pretty sure I'm going to have to add because all the cards we're drawing, it's going to give us no max hand size and it's mana rock. Azorius Cluestone is another mana rock. Cartographer's Hawk is a really weird way to get ramp. It's very conditional. I'm glad they're adding cards like this for white, but I wish there was a better way of doing it. Okay, Austere Command, I have to add this. It's such a great board wipe, and right now it's about $1, so if you would like this card, pick it up. Fractured Identity for 3 white blue. This came with one of the commander decks from 2017. Exile target non-land permanent. Each player other than its controller creates a token that's a copy of it. So if someone has some crazy Eldrazi like Kozilek, the Great Distortion, now everyone but that player who had it has a copy of it. Yeah. This is a crazy card. Another mana rock. We already have Reflector Mage, so we can put that aside. Drayneth Magistrate. I talked about this in one of my earlier videos, but for 1 and a white, it's a 1/3 human wizard. Your opponents can't cast spells from anywhere other than their hands. This means they cannot cast their commander unless it's in their hand. So if their commander's in their command zone and this is out, they cannot cast their commander. Yeah, it's that good. Thought about Illusionist Bracers. I'd be able to copy Kwain's ability. That'd be really powerful, but for 5 mana, I don't know. Something I need to think about. With all the cards I'm drawing, I thought about Consecrated Sphinx. Costs 6 mana, it's a 4/6 Sphinx. When an opponent draws a card, we may draw 2 cards. So if we tap our commander and our opponent decides to draw a card, we're going to be drawing 3 cards just from tapping our commander. Yeah. That's great. Well of Lost Dreams. When we gain life, we can pay X mana, and we can draw X cards where X is the amount of life we gained. Now, actually, okay, we do have auras, so we could mess with Sovereigns of Lost Alara. But anyways, if we pay 3, we can untap Enchanted Creature. I have a lot of creatures that untap permanents, but I think I just had that 1 aura. Migratory Route, great card. We can pay 5 to make 4 1/1 white birds, or we can pay 2 to basic land cycle, which would help us find some lands if we need it. I thought about making this kind of a mill deck / hug deck. Sphinx's Tutelage for 2 and a blue. Whenever you draw a card, target opponent puts the top 2 cards of his or her library into his or her graveyard. If they share colors, repeat this process. Yeah, this is a great card to have. Another way to untap our creatures. Authority of the Council. Creatures your opponents control enter the battlefield tapped. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield under an opponent's control, you gain 1 life. Swords to Plowshare. Kismet. Now, this is, I feel like, an underrated card. 3 and a white, it's an enchantment. All of target players' creatures, lands, and artifacts come into play tapped, while the actual text, the fixed text, is your opponent's creatures, lands, and artifact come into play tapped. Yeah, they're going to be very behind with a card like this. Now, this damaged Ajani, Caller of the Pride for 1 white comes in at 4 loyalty. We can do the +1, which puts a +1/+1 counter on target creature. -3, target creature gets flying and double strike until end of turn. But more importantly, his ultimate Ascendant, we can put X 2/2 white cat creature tokens on the battlefield where X is your life total. And we're going to have a lot of life gain in this deck, so it's perfect. Serra Ascendant for 1 white has lifelink. As long as you have 30 or more life, Serra Ascendant gets +5/+5 and has flying. So we can cast this turn 1, and then by turn 2, deal someone 6 and gain 6. Yeah, that's a great card. Blind Obedience is going to make our opponent's artifacts and creatures enter the battlefield tapped. We already have Well of Lost Dreams. So that's what happens when you look through your collection. You're just digging for cards that even sort of go along with the deck, so it's possible I draw 2 or more of the same card. Dawn of Hope for 1 and a white. It's an enchantment. When you gain life, you can pay 2. If you do, draw a card, and we can pay 4 to make a 1/1 white soldier creature token with lifelink. I don't know if I want to pay 2 to draw a card when I'm already doing it with Kwain, so I'm going to set it aside for now. Ominous Seas. This is a great card for this deck. For 1 and a blue, it's an enchantment. When you draw a card, put a foreshadow counter on Ominous Seas, remove 8 counters, create an 8/8 blue Kraken creature token. Library of Lang. You skip your discard step. If a card forces you to discard, you may choose to discard the top of your library rather than to your graveyard. If discard is random, you may look at the card before deciding to discard it. So what this means is you have no maximum hand size, and if an effect causes you to discard it, but you may put it on top of your library instead of your graveyard. Loyal Drake. If I control my commander at the beginning of my combat, I get to draw a card. And we already have Dictated Crucifix, so let's put that aside. Alright, so these are the cards I'm thinking of adding. Let me know what you think of these in the comments below. I also forgot to mention the lands I already have for the deck. Let's talk about Adakar Waste, Hollowed Fountain, Command Tower, Azorius Chancery, Irrigated Farmland, Meandering River, Tranquil Cove, Tajiri Refuge, and Exotic Orchard. Now, Exotic Orchard, I usually put this in my 2 or more colored decks. Some people would probably recommend 3, but when you're playing a game with 3 other opponents, it's likely that they're going to play one of your colors, so I think this is a great card and it enters untapped. Alright, thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed this video about using cards from your collection. You don't have to buy more cards to be able to play Commander. You just have to have what you already got. I'll see you all in the next one. Peace.